Okay.
You want to tell us a little bit about how this instrument came about?
Well, I was in the Navy, and Jim was in the Navy. He retires as a chief, and I bugged out at the end of my enlistment. Anyway, we met at the swimming pool, and I'll tell you more about that later, but I had a little Gibson round soundhole black mandolin at the time, and there was an office under the pool, actually, and we would go down there and jam every time I could get away from the barracks long enough without getting in trouble. So we had a good time, and he built that, or was working on it at least, and he offered to build me a mandolin. It was kind of a wedding present because I got married right after I got out of the Navy, because I have to tell you an interesting part about that. We were going to be married in 1950, and I was at Betty's house, and we were making out a list of who to invite to the wedding, and these people, Navy uniform, came up and knocked on the door. They had been out to my home. It was just 7 or 8 miles away, and my dad told them where we were, and there they came, and right in the middle of our invitation list, why, I got served with papers to show up the next morning.
And where were you living at the time?
I was living in Mesquite. That's where I was born and where I grew up.
Mesquite, Texas.
Yeah,
outside
it's
of Dallas.
8 miles east, east of Dallas. And at that time, the town was 1,041 people, I think. And now the rodeo grounds are bigger than the whole town used to be. All the schools were on one, well, it's 4 square blocks, really. Everything from grade school to high school. Now they have 7 high schools, and it's 153,000 people the last time I was there. And they have a huge electronics manufacturing plant besides this probably well-known rodeo ground if anybody is into rodeos. And
so
anyway,
they shipped you out to San Diego.
yeah, shipped me out to San Diego. I've forgotten how we got there. It seemed like we flew. Anyway, I ended up there. But just before that I left, I had gotten my shots like you have to get when you get pulled into the active duty, and I was ill, but I was going to go anyway. I was working for Bob and Merle Shelton at that time. I had taken Joe Shelton's place because he was not always around anymore, so I was playing in his place. I had I still have a little Gibson 1939 mandolin that I was playing. But anyway, I was ill, and I was coming back from, I believe, I can't remember the town. It was in kind of south and west of Dallas. And I was driving home, and as far as I knew, I was talking away to Betty. She was with me, and I went to sleep. Ran off the road, overcorrected, turned the car over.
Oh boy.
And that's my souvenir, is that finger does not bend all that time. A lot of people don't even notice it, but that and one other time I almost went out of the music business. We may get to that later or may not. Anyway, I ended up in San Diego, North Island, and long story short, met Jim there, and he was building that or had just completed it. He said, I'll build you a mandolin if you want it. I said, what kind of pickup? He said, we'll see if we can get you a good one. So Paul Bigsby would sell you a pickup if he liked your work. If he didn't, he would not. So Jim took this up there when it was almost finished and showed it to him. And Paul didn't say a word. He just walked over, got a pickup, and handed it to him. And one of the side stories is the little black Gibson mandolin I had with a hard case even. I sold it at a pawn shop for $40 to get the money to pay for the pickup. So
Paul was charging how much for the pickups then?
50.
Oh yeah. And an interesting thing about this pickup, you can see it's a 6-string pickup cover. There's little dimples in it for 6 pole pieces, but then he drilled in between those to make a 5-string mandolin pickup.
He did. And this oversized tailpiece says custom built for Scotty Broyles by Jim Harvey, and has a little flower down on it. And I wore through it there and had it replated, and I've worn through it again, but you can't do anything else with it, because if you plate it again, then you won't be able to read the writing on it. So anyway, Jim started on it. We had a guitar player, a steel guitar player, named Robert Hanson. We called him Rebob. I don't know why, but that was his nickname. And he was an artist, quite talented oil painter. Unfortunately, he was also an alcoholic. But he drew this. I think this was about the third iteration of things. And I said, oh, change this and change that and change that. And this is how it ended up. And Jim said, I'll build anything you can draw. And we drew it, he drew it, and Jim built it. And there it is.